Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Valley of the Judged. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me is my good brother here in the temple, the man with many probing questions about D100 rolls, good brother Nephenor.
Hello, and yes, D100 is my dice of choice. All 100 of them.
I hope to God you don't try and roll one of those golf balls at the table.
I have one, but I will never roll that damn thing because it is a piece of trash.
I keep telling people those things belong in the driving range, not on the gaming table.
It is nice to have. It's just, kind of a, hey, this is here, it's hilarious, but I'm never going to use it.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
It's kind of like the wand dice. Really cool to look at, but I would never use it as an actual dice.
Mm-hmm. But last time around, we tackled the core rules, along with getting some terms thrown at us that I think were a little bit early. I can understand wanting to get the way the game works right in front, but I feel
They threw us in the deep end right off the bat.
Yeah. I feel like some of the things that were in there probably should have been in the more dedicated rules setup. Like the how to play should cover the core mechanics, in my opinion.
Give you the basics, the simple what you roll to do what.
Yeah. Now, with that in mind, this time around we're heading straight into character creation. And it opens up with the fact that new characters get a set amount of points to be allocated into their 12 main stats, and can start out with an equal number of skills and flaws, i.e. skills and flaws have to cancel each other out. If you're playing a youth character, it's 500 points, essentially. Adult, 600 points. And let me check the character sheet. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, yeah. There's 4 physical stats, 4 mental stats, and 4 social stats. These, if any value was to drop to 0, it will have nasty results for the character, obviously.
I kind of like the fact that they're using, in a way, the stats as like that. That's a nice little thing that I've seen with others one where they have, your mental stats is also your mental health points. That is a nice thing. I like that.
Yeah. The whole stats as HP, when that comes up, the first game I'm always going to think of is stuff like Traveler.
Exactly.
And successors like the Fragged universe. But characters with backgrounds can start off with skills and good points, but for every good point they are to start with, they will have to take a flaw to compensate for it. As long as the GM okays it, then there's no problem. You can always learn a new skill later on in the game. The wound value is the character's toughness divided by 10. Every time a weapon causes this number of points of damage, your character will take 1 level of injury. If your character is injured, the location and amount of injury will affect what your character is capable of doing. You wouldn't see a man with 2 broken legs running anywhere.
Well, it depends on how he's running.
The consciousness value shows how many levels of damage a player character can take before they pass out. This is the same as the wound level, as tougher characters will be able to take more punishment. And as far as the physical stats, it is close combat, range combat, strength, toughness. For the mental stats, I believe it's intuition, intelligence, willpower, and I can't tell what the last 2 are just from looking at the character sheet. And the social stats are perception, intimidation, charisma, and seduction. Funny that those are there when in a lot of games those are treated as skills.
Yeah, that is a little different.
Oh. So after that we have skills. There is a list of skills and talents your characters could have in this book. These are by Nerve.
Ah, Nerve. That's what the last one is.
Yeah, Nerve. Nerve, and what was the one before it?
Yeah, it's, let's see, which was the one you were wondering about?
Between Willpower and Nerve.
Initiative, Willpower, Intelligence, Nerve.
Initiative is a mental stat, okay. And
well, that makes sense, actually, how quickly you react.
Mm-hmm. And anyway, for example, if you want to drive a car, easily done. If you want to be able to ride an ostrich, fair enough, but it won't be as useful as being able to drive a car, unless you're on a planet where ostriches are the primary mode of transport. But after that, we go into flaws. As far as a new character goes, you can take skills on a one-for-one basis for each character flaw you take. Flaws can be as small as being a smoker or as large as being a total psychopath with multiple personalities. Depends on how flawed you want your character to be. For example, you want to start as an elite pilot. That would need a major flaw to even out. If you wanted to start with a small amount of driving skill, you would only need a small flaw. Again, the list of flaws can't hope to take everything into consideration, so feel free to come up with your own. Then, starting cash is D10 times 100 credits, with an extra D10 times 100 if you want to take another flaw to even it out. Like starting with cash was a skill. I do appreciate that skills are a case of you have it or you don't, as opposed to having to spend spend points in the having to spend that same set of points you get at the start on your skills. Like I remember roasting Fallout 4 alive because they, in their doubling down of the perk system, they had it that skills, attributes, and perks were all in the same pool. And I thought that was...
Now that's just silly.
Yeah. I've seen some people try and defend it, saying, it gives a lot of freedom. It does, but it also allows for a lot of traps.
Yeah, there's a point where there's too much freedom and you just get decision paralysis.
Mm-hmm. But then we have character background, which is a bit of suggestions. And then group dynamics. I do like that this is brought up because a lot of games have it where you're dealing with a group of individuals rather than an actual party.
Yeah, and I like the fact that they put it in as questions that you can answer so you can get a better idea of the character. And that's a really good way of doing it because it's easier for a character to go, okay, why is this way? Why is this way? And then you can fill in the blanks and you can get a better idea of the character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But then we have the character sheet itself. I'm a little iffy about it being a one-page, but I think this one can somewhat get away with it more than others. But as a general rule, unless you're dealing with a very simple game, I'm not the biggest fan of one-page character sheets because you're eventually going to run out of space when it comes to certain things you get. I talked about this in my review of Dragonbane from the other day, where that one little space for heroic abilities and spells.
Yeah, that's a little...
Don't get me wrong, I love Dragonbane to death, but I think
the character sheet needs work.
I think insisting on one page creates problems. Unless you're dealing with a game that is very, very simple. You know, I'm not gonna make us think about, say, somebody running BX era D&D, and that's only one page.
Heck, I remember. Well, the only way I could get away with one page when doing riffs in the old days was I used very, very tightly lined paper, and so I was writing very small.
And that is a bandage, not a fix.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus, there's the problem of it's still riffs.
Yep, the world is great. The system sucks.
Mm-hmm. But Now, could I see doing one page with, say, Savage Worlds? Yes. Savage Worlds is something like Savage Worlds or Fate. Those are simple enough where you could get away with it. If you're doing things like sewer powers or magic, it's going to get a bit tricky, but it's always going to get tricky with that. But like my whipping boy when it comes to games that insist on single page character sheets that shouldn't is every single White Wolf game I've played in my life.
Oh yes, no kidding. I used to use the back of my character sheet all the time for those.
Because that one page sheet is fine when you're starting out. You get a few sessions under your belt, and it's no longer going to work.
Or all you have to do is just play mage, and bam, your entire sheet is completely worthless because you need another 2 sheets for everything.
Or just first session with Exalted. And
never did try Exalted.
I know some people would be like, well, that's a fault of the game for having so many abilities. And I'm like, if you having a variety of abilities and a variety of ways to customize, should not be seen as a mark of shame. I'm growing very annoyed over the years with how people look at rules complexity as if it's the devil.
Oh god, I've been seeing so much of that recently with 5e, and that's why people who swear by it, I just look at them like, dude, they're taking tools away from you. Stop it. Stop cheering it.
I'm like, okay, keep that same energy, but when you complain about the lack of tools, just remember I told you so.
Yeah, when I saw somebody who was like, well, I like what they did to 5e version of Spelljammer. I'm like, you moron, they took half the rules out of it.
I have not even read the 5e Spelljammer thing, and I know people say
avoid it.
The whole flipping character sheet, and hell, even the character sheet for Legend Edition, we got a few people saying there's too many pages, and I'm like, there's too many pages because I want everything to be as referenced as possible within the sheet. Obviously, there's going to be some exceptions to this, but the point is, play from the sheet was my battle cry. And it was the battle cry for, say, Legend of the Five Rings, because they only did the one-page sheet in first edition.
I've heard good things about L5R, at least some of the versions of it.
Mm-hmm. But I guess, and when it comes to Weirdspace, I think to a certain level, one page will work. If you're doing like beer and pretzel style play, but I think if you're doing full campaigns, you might run into problems, and you're gonna need an extra sheet. At least from what I'm seeing so far. But then we get into the explanation for the character sheet. So CC, close combat. RC, range combat. Usually with a gun or object throwing. ST is strength.
Now, my question on range combat is, does that include throwing your teammate? Oh, wait, this isn't Blood Bowl.
I'll allow it.
I fucking love that ability.
Yeah. I am very tempted to see if there is a Blood Bowl mod on Tabletop Simulator in the future.
I just stick with Blood Bowl 2, the video game. That was actually the best of the series.
Yeah, I didn't play 3. I heard there was some MTX bullshit.
Not just that, it basically is kind of 2, but they just reskinned a couple things, and it's not even as good.
Oh. Yeah, I just remember the thing getting nuked to hell on Steam when it came out. But
it's still nuked to hell.
Yeah. But the reason I'd end up using Tabletop Sim is so I can drag more people into it.
Fair.
Anyway.
There's actually a Java version that you can play that's completely free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But then we have the mental stats. Initiative, willpower, so that... From a distance, that looked like an O, not a Q. So I blame that on the font for me getting thrown off. You know, intelligence.
Yeah, that was
nerd.
something I noticed too. The font could use some work.
Like zooming in here, as opposed to when I had it zoomed out earlier on a different screen, that Q looks like an O.
It really does, actually. That's one thing I just scrolled back to see. It's like, damn, that does look like an O.
Yep.
Come on, guys, get a better font.
But then
there's lots of sci-fi ones out there.
There's lots of fonts out there. Period. If I go diving for fonts, I'm never coming out. But then we have these social stats: perception, intimidation, charisma, and seduction. And then the template for how ranged weapons work. So, name of the gun, the firing mode, whether it's single fire, semi-auto, or full auto, the amount of damage it does, the weight, and how many shots it needs before reloading. And then for close combat weapons, name of the weapon, how much reach it has, the amount of damage it causes, the weight, and any special rules. Then skills, talents, abilities, psychics, and merits. Then flaws, beliefs, liabilities, and behavior tags. So your good points and your bad points. And
your neutral points, because behavior tags can be neither.
Mm-hmm. Then wound value and consciousness value. Toughness divided by 10 is how much points of damage a weapon needs to do in order to cause one full level of damage to your character. This number is also how many levels of damage overall you can take before you pass out from the pain. There's a little AV column to the left where you can note down the armor value. And the armor value associated to each location, and as we see, we do have a location set up. I do like that they put in a thing that in close combat you can modify the location roll by 2 positive or negative. And we also have a kind of rule of 6 or rule of 4 when it comes to how you track damage to each part, which goes right into the damage levels explained. Level 1, a few scrapes. Level 2, worse than level 1, but nothing you can't fully recover from. Level 3, the location needs looking at, but it'll mostly heal up. Level 4, it's hurt badly, and your arms and legs can't be used until you have time to heal. Level 5, crippled and mangled, look into getting a replacement. Level 6, no longer attached, completely severed, MIA.
I love these charts and these rolls, especially the one after the next one.
Mm-hmm. But being shot in the head is a whole other matter. You can only take 3 levels of damage there. If you take 4, then your head is nothing more than a hole with ears. There might be an alien species that can live without a head, or you may have enough bionics implanted so you can survive without one. But the average human is killed. And then we have the in-the-face table. If someone takes 1 full level of damage to the head, there is a 30% chance of some permanent damage, or 60% if the weapon is barbed. And we roll on the table to determine the location and what happens. And we have a similar one for in the groin.
That's the one, and I love the ones on that one. We got the funny walk for D6 days, high-pitched voice for D6 hours. Character may not have children, and then it gets weirder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope to God nobody rolls a 6 and gets anal leakage. Then 1 for in the chest. 1 for in the abdomen. Then 1 for losing fingers. For every level of damage sustained, you lose D3 fingers. Each lost finger gives a minus 10% strength modifier to that hand. Strength per hand is worked out as your character's total strength divided by the number of arms they have. If they lose all 5 fingers, then that hand cannot be used to hold anything. It's assumed that everyone has 5 fingers in each hand just to make things easier. And we have a thing on losing toes. Not as serious as losing fingers, but each lost toe reduces your initiative by 5% and also stops the character from running anywhere. And then we have excessive amounts of damage. There's no doubt going to be a time when one of your players will have a fully upgraded blaster cannon and will want to unleash the full fury of it on someone who can't hope to survive it. At that point, it's entirely possible that the dice will show that they've shot them in the foot. Rather than just losing a couple of toes on the excessive amounts of damage rule, misread, states that any points of damage over and above what the location can take are not lost, but transferred to the nearest location. For example, 12 levels of damage are inflicted to a character's foot. Rolling d3s to see how many toes are lost determines that after 4 rolls, 6 toes have gone. A foot can lose 5 toes, and the 6th level means the foot is entirely missing. The other 8 levels are then moved to the leg attached to that foot. Well, 6 of them are, so the leg is classified as severed as well, and the remaining 2 levels are put on the groin. Please keep in mind that if an arm is severed, the hand is also missing, and characters can only take a certain amount of abuse before falling unconscious. It would be really funny if somebody lost their arm, but they didn't lose their hand.
Well, technically it's possible. The only difference is once the arm's lost, the hand goes with it. It just falls to the ground. Mm-hmm. But at least they can still give themselves a hand.
But then we have healing and recovery. Unless you have skill or a bit of equipment that says otherwise, you can only naturally heal 2 levels of damage on each location. This means that if you take 3 levels of damage on a certain location, then spend time healing, you will always have 1 level of damage on it. Characters heal 1 level of damage at the beginning of each session. There are synthetic organs and bionic parts that can be used to make a full recovery past the 2 levels, and medical attention may also help. And then we have stats that drop to 0. Which, yeah, if any of your stats drop to 0, bad shit happens. That is the simplest way to put that.
I do love the descriptions they have.
Mm-hmm. CC, you automatically fail any hand-eye coordination test. Even screwdrivers are beyond you. RC, you can't throw a ball more than 3 feet, and even then it's off to the left a bit. Strength, you can't carry anything except the clothes on your back, and even they seem really heavy. Toughness, you're dead. Also, if this stat is more than your strength, your character is carrying a little extra weight. Let's see. 0 willpower means you'll do whatever anyone tells you to. IQ 0 means you're a vegetable. Nerve 0 means, my shadow, run!
I love the social ones. Perception, there could be an 8.2 earthquake and you'd miss it. Intimidation, nobody in the universe views you as a threat. Charisma, you could lie your way out of a paper bag and people try to avoid you. Seduction, barman won't even serve you drinks, you're so damn repulsive.
But then we have a thing for playing as children in Weirdspace. You start off with -2 experience points and only have 300 points to spread between your 12 main stats. For every point of experience you earn, you can spend that amount on your stats. When you reach -99, you're officially a teenager. Having teenage player characters can open up a whole new section. You won't be able to buy alcohol or get into most nightclubs. You won't be taken seriously by most adult characters. Won't be able to pilot a spaceship. May have to attend some sort of school or be illiterate, etc. There are a lot of opportunities open here. The spotty Nurk flaw could start up a child character at -99 XP. You could perhaps start off short and then grow out of it. And that's just for human children. You could have all sorts of fun playing an alien child. Then we have...
Yeah, I mean, you could play literally an alien child, and, you're going through puberty as you just burst out of somebody's chest.
You almost made me spit out my water.
Exactly.
Let's see. We have a rule for character pregnancy and interspecies breeding, because why the fuck not?
Oh god, I just thought about something. Imagine the zits on a xenomorph.
Don't pop those. Whatever you
exactly. Exactly.
But after that, and let me make sure I'm not going too far. So after that, we have non-combat skills. Some of these have percentages, and some of them do not. I think the only thing that bugs me is the fact that I feel like the skill name should have been bolded. Otherwise, it kind of blends.
Yeah, that's more of a. They really had needed to do some work on the. God, can't even think of the word. The layout and design of this book. But other than that,
yeah. There's also the fact that these non-combat skills aren't alphabetical, because we have weaponsmith and then we have a few more.
Oh God, yeah, I see what you mean. That is infuriating to me.
Yeah, that's a problem. Then we have positive traits, which are what you'd expect, especially if you've done any sort of point buy system.
Wait. Some of these, okay. Skill, GM's girlfriend, high heel shoes. These are some very weird skills, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. But then we have aura colors, which is interesting.
I'm guessing that's probably for their psychics.
Or it could be completely. I do want to note the note for the GM. Well, what do you know? There are 10 sets of colors here, each with 6 options. It's almost like this is a table that can be used to give NPCs a bit of depth, even if there isn't a Triclops in the party.
Ah, I was right, actually. You have a third eye which allows you to perceive auras as well as the regular light spectrum. Okay, so that literally is what it is.
Yep. But then we have animal handling, which I'm not entirely sure why it's its own section. Though it does have notes about possibly getting a dragon egg.
Apparently, Cronin is a very interesting place.
Mm-hmm. But then we have combat skills, which a lot of them are what you might expect. I find it
and
amusing.
Again, not in alphabetical order.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another problem. Then we have sporting skills. It's kind of amusing that you know what, all of these are they're just skills for football. And
yeah, pretty much.
One exception, and that's zero gravity specialization. But
I don't know, you could play football in space. It'd just be very different.
Yeah. But long throw, drop kick, tackle, these are either football or rugby skills.
Yes, we need to play Blood Bowl in space with this game.
Then martial arts skills. Which is about what I'd expect. And the dojo list, which is interesting. They'll only be taught in the order shown, and going with different belts. These skills cannot be legally bought for a head drive. Occasionally they do come up, but are quickly dispatched, and the cyber cafe/shop responsible is dealt with. Which, okay, I feel like that covers like one particular dojo, which I think is supposed to be the Multi-World Fighting Syndicate, I guess, but it was still kind of an odd way to throw it in.
Yeah, and it kind of makes me wonder if there are others too.
Because I look at these skills there, and that would fit a lot of striking styles, but not a lot of grappling styles. But then we have training. So you're aware you can spend experience points to acquire new abilities, and also implant a head drive to download some skills, but you still want another way to get some expertise under your belt. Well, now you have it. Much in the same way that therapy sessions can reduce your character's mental flaws, you can also find an instructor to teach you the finer points of your chosen skills. Examples: if you were to walk into a dojo and take a martial arts lesson, you can improve a single martial arts or combat-related skill by D10%, or add it to your CC stat. Costs 50 credits per session, 1 CC test per session, a pass equals D10%. If you were to spend some time with a tutor on a shooting range, then you could improve your range combat by D10%, or gain a specialization for a specific weapon, like a blaster cannon or maybe a hunting rifle. Costs 50 credits per session, 1 RC test per session, a pass equals D10% to RC, and a critical pass equals a plus 10% to use whatever gun you were practicing with. A computer usage lesson at a cyber cafe, you get the general idea. And for skills that don't have a percentage use, when you're learning them, treat them as if they were percentage-based skills. And once they're up to 100%, you can use them as normal. If you don't have a great deal in the stat you want to learn, then your GM can let you look into the theory of it, or allow your character to do a little research, so you can use your IQ stat for the first few rolls of a subject.
I do appreciate that they say that, somebody might just want to take a few pole dancing classes.
I remember when I was reading through the archetypes in Final Fantasy D20, and one of them was a Dragoon Dancer hybrid, literally called Pole Dancer.
This does not surprise me.
Mm-hmm. But after that, it goes into languages, the various languages that are spoken. The widely used one is, universal. Although I like to describe that universal is due to the human population in Weirdspace being descendants of English and American astronauts that left Earth before and during the early stages of the zombie plague that annihilated the planet. Wait, what? What?
Apparently, yeah. Zombie. Well, it makes sense that a zombie plague annihilated the planet, because if you get enough people on TikTok or watching Zoom video, these shorts, they're going to end up just standing there as the entire world falls apart around them.
Then again, we saw what happened when TikTok was banned for 45 minutes.
Yep, exactly.
I wish it would have been longer. I wanted to enjoy some of the chaos.
I know, I was quite enjoying it.
But there are also some Russian and Japanese colonies, but they also speak Universalist. It has become the language of trade in the sector, and by alien standards, it's fairly easy to pick up. Which would certainly fit. I remember Firefly having a very strong reasoning for why characters would randomly speak Chinese, going on the idea that the alliance was formed out of American and Chinese colonists, and centuries of intermixing, and you get people who speak both languages. But regardless of that, there's always going to be one language that's the trade language of a given region.
Well, we saw that kind of thing before with Firefly, where they'd be sitting there talking in English and then all of a sudden curse in Chinese.
Mm-hmm. There's also a really good way to do the most offensive swear words and get past the censors.
That is also true, and it also gave the world quite a bit of flavor. I'll have to give Whedon credit on that. That was good.
That was before Whedon disappeared up his own ass.
Yep, that is true.
Because I was a big fan of Firefly. I have pretty much every TTRPG attempt, which is essentially both of them, to do it. And I've had a lot of fun with that setting. I hope to revisit it in the future because I do have both Cortex versions.
Shiny.
But I do find it amusing that sign language and telepathic speech are both language options. And then we get into psychic abilities. Only 1 in 10% in the universe has any psychic potential, and these very few survive past adulthood because of universal prejudice, fear, and loathing. In Las Vegas? Sorry.
I was thinking the same thing, so no knocking from me.
The ones that do manage to keep out of the public eye have a very short life expectancy, as psychic abilities are notoriously dangerous to use. They tend to fall into one of 5 groups: telekinesis, pyrokinesis, instability, being able to phase out of the universe slightly in order to walk through walls, mind control, and others. Using a psychic ability causes 1 full level of damage to the user's head, although no roll on the in-the-face table is needed. This can be negated if the psyker has mastered their abilities over time. See latent and innate abilities. Commercial psykers working for the Alliance get training and mental conditioning to avoid that side effect, although with a small explosive device fitted inside their head. There's nothing more dangerous than a rogue psyker with unlimited ability uses. Psykers are classified by the Alliance on a scale of 1 to 5, depending on how dangerous they are. Class 1 psykers are deemed non-threatening, but should still be killed on sight because they may become dangerous at some point. Class 5s have specifically trained kill teams sent after them, if and when they are ever discovered. More than 1 planet has been nuked from orbit after one of these teams has been defeated. When a character reaches adulthood, there is a 15% chance of them developing psyker abilities. If the GM allows people to play as psykers from the start, then their powers will not come to the surface, as in be useful, until they hit 50 experience points. If a character is 100% human, they'll have a 25% chance. To use a psyker ability, a successful willpower test is needed, unless you have a skill that says otherwise. And then it goes into what you can do with each, and I can see why Class 5s would be that dangerous, because look at Telekinesis Class 5.
Oh, so you're basically, oh god, I can't think of his name. The one from, there was the one Jedi game where you were moving a Star Destroyer. Yeah, Garrett, yeah, when you were moving the Star Destroyer.
Mm-hmm. Or, let's see, Pyrokinesis, at Class 5, you are the Human Torch. Instability at Class 5, you can do more than just phase through walls. You can possess people. Mind control, at Class 5, you can fully puppet somebody without having to leave your body. And of course, there's also the resist category, which is basically you putting a mental force field. Although at Class 5 of that, you can reverse damage. And there's variants such as elemental psykers if you want to be a bender.
Bite my shiny metal ass. Oh wait, wrong bender.
But then we have magic abilities, which in order to use you need to spend XP levels on buying the type of magic. For example, ritual magic or spells. Unless stated otherwise, a willpower test is needed to use these abilities. Ritual magic is described as long, complicated rituals that bring about something large and probably cool. And on the other end, you have enchantments, which only add effects or odd abilities to existing items. Incantations, which need to be constantly performed. Spells, which are quick little incantations. And hexes, which are a type of magic that always hinders in some way and can backfire quite viciously. If you fail at performing a hex, it rebounds on you with 3 times the amount of force. But we do have a a nod of creating your own magic abilities, which is nice, as well as a sidebar about spell slingers versus demons. Of course, bringing up that salt is a great tool against demons. The ritual unseen barrier is a prime example of using that.
My question is, what about those guns that they developed for taking out flies that shoot salt?
I mean, if you properly blessed it, maybe.
Well, I mean, if salt is effective against demons, then using one of those little things would be basically like a demon shotgun.
Well, the Constantine movie, despite its flaws, gave us the Holy Shotgun.
I'm sorry, I refuse to accept the existence of that. I prefer the Matt Ryan Constantine series.
I do too. But
he did a fucking amazing job.
And I feel like the reason that thing only lasted one season is because some exec probably looked at it and went, "We have something like this with Grimm. Why do we have two similar shows?"
Possibly. Although I know that the guys from the Arrowverse were like trying to get WB to pick it up. It's like, dude, this is awesome. It ties in with us. Take it.
Mm-hmm. The closest we got was him showing up in Legends of Tomorrow, which was a decent consolation prize, I guess. And I think he's played the character some of the animated stuff.
Yeah, and also they did have the big crossover with. Oh yeah, that was the big crossover there, and they had also they even brought in Lucifer with that one, which was kind of nice.
Yeah, but
I do love that that Lucifer actually owed him a favor.
Yeah, the holy shotgun. I think this is meant to be based on the Street Sweeper. Because I did find an image of the prop, which I will share that with you. This thing.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Like, see, I will admit the Keanu Reeves Constantine isn't a bad movie. It's just not Constantine.
Yeah, although I will admit, the person they got to play the devil, ooh, so good.
What's funny is originally he was gonna have more of a punk rock look until someone quashed that.
Yeah, he did such a good job. Although Gabriel was also very well played too.
But anyway, then we have a list of aliens with their merits and flaws, and
I do not know any of these aliens. I would just like to state that right now. These are not any species I officially acknowledge.
Yeah, along with alien exclusive skills, and there's quite a few of them.
Although I'm amused the fact that they do actually have snake people, which makes me wonder when we're going to see snake titties.
Eventually. Well, it is the year of the snake.
Exactly.
Yep, but after that is character flaws, and once again, I know we keep saying this, but we have a bit of a problem with the fact that with a lot of the lists, they are not alphabetical.
Or they're not organized in a way that makes sense. If, for example, they had all the physical, then the mental, then the social, that at least would be understandable, but you'd still want to have it alphabetical. You want to have some kind of organization that makes sense.
Yeah. And after that, we have therapy. There are certain character flaws that the players might not want to roleplay, or some that seem like a good idea at the time, but get in the way too much when actually being played. For this kind of thing, Weirdspace has therapists. Now the players can reduce their flaws somewhat by paying some numpty with a diploma loads of money. If the flaw has a percentage, then reduce that by D10 for every therapy session they have. And if it doesn't, roll the D10, make note of the number, then keep adding these each time they see a specialist. When the number reaches 100, then that flaw is cured. Of course, you can always roleplay a relapse at GM's discretion. There are therapists on the A station, a virtual therapist on the Aardvark, and a freelance therapist in a dark alley on Coralho, although I wouldn't recommend him.
I don't see why not. He's perfectly acceptable to me.
But then we have experience. Each time your character gains enough experience points to pass a set number, they go up a level. So if you have more than 15 to less than 30, you would be a level 2 character. When you reach a new level, you can either add the amount shown as a percentage to your stats or take a new skill. And then we go into that setup. As a youth, you need less XP points to go up levels, but once you become an adult, you need much larger amounts of XP to go up a level. And this means there's a very good reason to play a younger and less experienced character, because they will improve a lot faster than one who starts off harder. The GM will give out XP whenever they feel the need to, and the players should automatically get some at the end of every session if their character survives. I'm kind of iffy about whether or not a level-based system really fits this kind of game.
Yeah, I don't think it really fits, considering it's all about skills. It definitely feels like a skill-based one would be better.
Like, the percentage of the... Now, am I saying that it needs to do the learn, use to improve kind of thing that you see in, say, basic? Not necessarily. I just don't think a level-based approach is something that really fits how freeform so much of this game is.
Yeah, it definitely does not work.
And as far as what I think the answer is, honestly, I think it should just be XP as currency. No, you spend
which you can then use to buy to get skills. Yeah, that actually works.
Yeah. XP as currency is my shorthand for any game where you gain XP and then spend it directly. And I feel like that is a better fit for this kind of thing. I do appreciate that new skills always start at 20%. The exception is contacts, which start at 10%. And of course, we also have the options for employment, which gives different amounts of pay. And doing a whole thing about joining the Alliance military. See the universe, meet interesting people, and then kill them.
That's pretty much all militaries.
And a similar... I do like that we have a whole subsystem for bounty hunting, since that's something that is definitely part of the fantasy. I mean, everybody wanted to be Boba Fett at one point.
You know, I do have one thing, though. I'm looking through these... the employment options here, and it's under website admin. I feel that should have the automatic flaw of you are a furry. I mean, I'm not wrong.
Yeah, but things like the contract tables, this is something I really like, because a GM can put it out there of, oh, you're on this random-ass planet. Well, there's this one person who's got a bounty if you can find him here.
Yeah, that's a nice little thing. It's a good way to get quick and easy quests for people.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you still have to answer the question of why you have the one bounty hunter in a given group if you are going that route, but you could always have a whole party's worth of bounties.
They're all bounty hunters, or the bounty hunter decided, you know what, I needed a little help on this mission. Mm-hmm. And they just decided, yeah, stay together. We work.
Yep. But next up would be guns, but since that involves quote-unquote character stuff, I want to save that for next week. Because I think with some of this we end up going a little bit farther than we had planned, because there wasn't really a natural break point. But next time around we're going to be covering weapons and equipment. Now, as far as the character creation part here, I think we're on the same page in that we had only two major problems. One is what was the fact that with a lot of the abilities, flaws, skills, and whatnot, it was not organized all that well. Not alphabetically or by subcategory or something that could be easily referenced.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. The layout of the book does need some work. Other than that, that's that and the yeah. I mean that also the design of the character sheet needs work too.
And add a second page on the character sheet, or just use the back if need be. And also the whole thing with levels. I mean, I guess it works as intended, but I can't help but get the feeling that this is not really a game that is all that compatible with levels.
Yeah, I like your idea of doing the just experience point by. It makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to do the whole age range thing, there's other ways to go about that. I'm just of the opinion that doing it by levels here, when so much of the game is very freeform, it doesn't quite fit. I think if I were to do it personally, and I'm not saying that I'm better than the dev or anything like that, but I think it should be at certain percentage thresholds it gets more expensive, which is pretty standard.
Yeah, it's like when it hits 50%, you got to pay this much. When it's 60%, you got to pay this much.
Or barring that, take a page out of Rollmaster and have it that certain skills are have a varying individual point cost. Although Rollmaster's an aim high D100, so that might be a bit tricky. But those are a couple options that I feel would be more fitting. And if you really, really want to, you already have the D10 improvement thing with training. You can always build around that. I just
go the BRP system style.
Yeah, BRP kind of, they don't exactly have it as in the BRP model, but it's close with the training system.
Yeah, theirs is more if you use a skill, you improve at it, or you have a chance of improving at it any session.
Yeah, you just got to roll over the skill.
Yep, you learn from failure, which makes sense actually.
Yeah.
And it also makes it so that when you get to higher levels, it's a lot more difficult.
Which that's the main reason why I would be a little bit hesitant for this kind of game, because I think it does want people to escalate into more and more ridiculousness.
Yeah, and in that case, you want something where point buy is a lot more useful.
And as far as obviously, because of the fact that you have the potential with min-maxing due to the whole, you get a skill, you get a flaw, or get something positive, you get something negative, that is going to be a particular issue. But that's standard when it comes to those kind of things, so I don't see a reason to single out this game for it.
I do appreciate the fact that they have it as, in order to get one, you get the other. That actually is something that some games don't have. It's just they use it as a whole point buy system, and you can buy certain flaws that give you points to give on everything else, which you then get min-maxers using and abusing.
If I recall correctly, I believe that the I remember. I think there was one game from. It was Luca De Marini's project, I guess Universalis, that did have the learn from failure in a similar but different way. I'd have to go back and double check on that because I haven't looked at that one in a while. Although I still consider it a point of pride that apparently I did a better job reviewing it than some reviewers over in Italy. At least according to Luca. So I can hang my hat on that. But like I said, we'll be back with this next week, diving into the equipment section proper. Some of this that we already covered, we probably should have saved for next week, but like I said, there wasn't a natural breakpoint in the text, so we just ended up having to wing it. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.
Soy, yo la cuna, yo,